In a village called Amri, a group of men head out to hunt along the Sindhu River. They are led by a young man named Sarman. But this is not their usual fishing trip. This time, they are going after a massive, dangerous crocodile. With his trident spear, Sarman manages to bring the beast down and haul it back to the village. It is the kind of moment that makes it obvious he is quick, fearless, and already respected by the people around him. Sarman lives with his uncle Durjan, a merchant, and his aunt Bhima. They have been the ones raising him since he was a child. That night, Sarman has a strange dream. He sees a single-horned creature, something like a unicorn, and a grand structure he has never seen before. The next morning, he tells Bhima about it, but she stays calm and brushes it off as nothing more than a dream. Later that morning, Sarman notices his uncle complaining about how poor the harvest has been this year. Seeing the situation, Sarman makes a request. He wants to travel to Mohenjodaro, the great city known as a center of trade and a place of advanced civilization. But for reasons Durjan does not explain, he refuses. What makes it even stranger is that farmers from their village go there every year to trade, and Sarman has asked 3 times already. Every time, the answer has been no. Naturally, Sarman starts to wonder what his uncle is hiding. He vents his frustration to his best friend, Hojo, and Hojo is just as confused. For Sarman, it is more than just business. He has lived his whole life in isolated Amri, cut off from the outside world. He wants to see the city for himself, to finally experience life beyond the village, and deep down, he even hopes he might find love out there too. That desire keeps building until one night Sarman wakes Hojo up and they decide to sneak away to Mohenjodaro in secret. But they do not get far before Durjan catches them. Surprisingly, this time Durjan does not explode in anger. He sees how determined Sarman is, and he finally agrees to let him go, but only under strict conditions. Sarman must never lower his prices because the trading rules in the city are nothing like the village. Durjan warns him that the people of Mohenjodaro are known to be greedy and cruel, so he needs to stay alert and trust no one too easily. Before Sarman leaves, Durjan also gives him a mysterious bundle with one clear instruction. He is not to open it unless he is in trouble. But on the journey, Sarman cannot resist. He secretly opens the bundle and finds a metal plate stamped with the symbol of a single-horned creature, the same kind he keeps seeing in his dreams. That discovery only strengthens his feeling that this symbol is connected to him somehow. When Sarman finally arrives in Mohenjodaro with the other traders, the city feels overwhelming in the best way. It is his first time seeing anything this big, and he is stunned that people in this ancient world could build something so massive and powerful. This is Mohenjodaro. As Sarman takes it all in, he notices there are 6 regional symbols across the city, and one of them again shows the single-horned creature. An older trader explains that the unicorn is a sacred emblem of Mohenjodaro, honored by its people and believed to be the mount of the goddess Sindhu. Not long after entering the city, Sarman is suddenly stopped by a ragged old man who warns him to turn back, saying this place is dangerous. Sarman is confused, but he feels sorry for the man and gives him his cloak anyway. A city guard then explains who the old man is. His name is Jahiro. He once came from an honorable family and was known as the one who discovered this region. But now he lives abandoned, with no clear purpose left. As Sarman walks deeper into the city, a strange feeling settles in. He is certain he has seen these grand buildings before, exactly like the ones from his dreams. Everything feels unfamiliar, yet somehow deeply familiar at the same time. After exploring the city, Sarman and Hojo begin setting up their trading stall. They bring various goods from their village, including blue lapis lazuli, a gemstone considered extremely valuable at the time. It is used for jewelry and natural dyes. Hojo, on the other hand, sells small clay bird whistles, simple but unique items that quickly draw attention from curious buyers. This year, Mohenjodaro feels livelier than ever. Foreign traders from Persia and Central Asia flood the market, bringing with them large animals that leave the locals amazed. These animals turn out to be horses, something rare and completely new for the people of Mohenjodaro. During a trade, Sarman remembers his uncle's warning. He must never lower his price. Knowing how valuable lapis lazuli is, a trader offers 8 sacks of wheat in exchange. Sarman refuses and stands firm on his price of 10 sacks. A market guard steps in and advises him to accept the offer since the market will soon quiet down. The guard's name is Lotar. He already respects Sarman after seeing him give his cloak to Jahiro earlier, something no one had ever done before. Not long after, a man named Manjo arrives, the son of the king of Mohenjodaro. Arrogant and entitled, Manjo abuses his power by forcing unfair trades, buying essential goods at cheap prices. Anyone who refuses is banned from trading in the city. One trader dares to resist and immediately suffers the consequences. Seeing this injustice, Sarman steps forward without hesitation. He insists that trade should follow one rule only: fairness.
यहाँ खरा वही जो मैं कहूँ.
Manjo is enraged, and the situation is about to turn dangerous. Just in time, Lotar intervenes and asks Manjo to excuse Sarman, explaining that he is a new trader who does not yet understand the city's ways. Fortunately, Manjo accepts this and walks away. For now, Sarman survives. But Lotar warns him that this was pure luck, and next time, no one may be able to save him. Not long after the market incident, Sarman's attention drifts to a gentle-looking young woman in the distance. Lotar explains that her name is Kani, the daughter of the royal priest. The people of Mohenjodaro deeply respect her, believing she is a messenger of the goddess Sindhu and a symbol of future change. At that moment, Kani's friend Junu is harassed by a group of young men. Kani steps in and firmly forces them to apologize, threatening to curse them into the earth if they refuse. Because she is seen as a sacred figure, the young men panic and quickly back down. In truth, Kani has no supernatural powers at all. It is only her clever bluff that saves the situation. Lotar quickly tells Sarman not to stare at her too long, reminding him that she belongs to the royal family. Instead of listening, Sarman stubbornly keeps looking until Kani herself becomes visibly flustered. Meanwhile, King Maham, the ruler of Mohenjodaro, is holding a meeting with his ministers. He proudly declares that the city has now become the leading center of trade, surpassing its rival, Harappa. He announces plans to continue building dams and fortifications for the so-called welfare of the people, along with a decision to raise taxes. The Minister of Agriculture strongly opposes this. He argues that for the past 15 years, the people have only suffered. In his view, these projects bring no real prosperity, serving only Maham's personal ambition and his desire for revenge against Harappa. Manjo, the son of Maham, immediately explodes in anger. He jumps in to defend his father and accuses the minister of spreading lies. Seeing the tension rise, the king's envoy, Kolka, takes control of the meeting. He asks the ministers to clench their fists if they oppose the decision and open their hands if they agree. The result is clear. Every minister opens their hand, showing full support for Maham's decision. The story then shifts back 15 years earlier. Maham originally came from the kingdom of Harappa, where he served as the head of trade. But he was eventually caught smuggling forest resources to foreign lands. As punishment, the king expelled him and his entire family. From that moment on, Maham held on to his resentment and became obsessed with taking control of Mohenjodaro to avenge the humiliation. Anyone who stood in his way was simply removed. Back in the present, while trading in the market, Sarman asks Lotar if it is possible to meet the royal priest. Lotar explains that only certain people with a special symbol are allowed to do so. Sarman then reveals the single horn symbol given to him by his uncle. Lotar is stunned and immediately wonders how Sarman came to possess it. In the end, they disguise themselves as locals and manage to enter the palace grounds. At that moment, chaos breaks out when a horse runs wild in the courtyard. Without hesitation, Sarman rushes in, rescues Kani, and successfully calms the animal. The priest is grateful for his bravery. Sarman introduces himself as a farmer from Amri village, and from that moment, it becomes clear that a quiet spark of affection begins to grow between him and Kani. Later, Sarman visits the temple and asks the priest about the single-horned creature that keeps appearing in his dreams. The priest explains that it is the mount of the goddess Sindhu, known as the unicorn, a sacred creature that now exists only in legend. Sarman shows a symbol given by his uncle and asks about its meaning. The priest is visibly shaken, especially after hearing the names Durjan and Sarujan, Sarman's uncle and his father, who died during a plague when Sarman was still a child. Without offering any explanation, the priest abruptly leaves, deepening Sarman's suspicion that the symbol hides a powerful secret. Before Sarman can uncover the truth, a royal announcement spreads through the city. Taxes will be doubled. The people are furious. Many of them already struggle just to feed their families, and now they are being crushed even further. Sarman boldly speaks out, declaring that he would rather die at Maham's hands than die from hunger. The crowd rallies behind him, and the royal envoy panics. Word of this defiance quickly reaches Maham. For the first time in 20 years, someone has openly challenged his rule. In response, Maham orders Kolka to find out who this young man is. The next day, Kayani disguises herself as an ordinary citizen to search for Sarman. Her friend Yunu worries constantly that her cover will be exposed. Fortunately, no one recognizes her. No one except Sarman, who immediately knows it is Kani. He notices how much more beautiful she looks without her crown. They walk together, and their feelings for each other continue to grow. But their moment does not last. Kolka spots them, forcing them to flee. Thankfully, they manage to escape. Although Kolka still does not know the identity of the man who opposed the tax, he reports that Kani was seen with an unknown male. Upon hearing this, Maham immediately begins planning a marriage between his son, Manjo, and Kani. That same night, a grand festival is held at the palace. Sarman takes a huge risk by sneaking inside, disguising himself as an invited guest. Inside the palace, Sarman witnesses Mayhem conducting a transaction with another king. Mayhem purchases a long sword and openly displays his vast supply of gold. Watching this, Sarman begins to question where all of Mayhem's wealth truly comes from. In the middle of the festival, the royal priest announces that this very night marks the engagement of his daughter, Kaani, to Manjo, the king's son. Manjo, already on edge, notices a suspicious figure in the crowd and immediately orders Kulka to track the stranger down. Thinking quickly, Sarman disguises himself as one of the dancers. When the performance begins, the dancers are briefly confused by the presence of someone unfamiliar. Fortunately, Sarman manages to follow their movements well enough to avoid suspicion. In the end, it is Kani who realizes that the dancer is actually Sarman. After the performance ends, instead of leaving, Sarman boldly sneaks into a private chamber. Not long after, Manjo approaches, but Sarman manages to avoid immediate discovery. Inside the room, Sarman and Kani finally acknowledge their true feelings for each other. It becomes clear that they genuinely love one another. Still, they know they cannot be together, as Kani has been promised to Manjo since birth. The reason behind the arrangement traces back to Kani's birth. A fortune teller once predicted that she would become a princess of future change. Hearing this, Maham immediately claimed her as a bride for his son. Moments later, Manjo returns, forcing Sarman to escape through a back door. He is spotted by Maham, but the king does nothing, choosing only to watch him with a cold, piercing stare. Soon after, Maham and Manjo head to the temple. With rumors spreading about Kani's closeness to a mysterious young man, they decide to rush the wedding. The priest is ordered to prepare the ceremony within just 2 days. Before long, the long-awaited day arrives. Kani feels completely powerless, trapped in a marriage she never wanted. Manjo's mother can clearly see that Kani does not love her son. She understands this pain all too well, having once lived through the same fate herself. Even so, she hopes this marriage might bring change, and believes Kani could soften Manjo's character. Maham, meanwhile, sees the union as a way to secure Manjo's future as the next ruler. Driven by disappointment, Sarman returns, unable to accept that Kani has agreed to the marriage. He knows she is being forced into it and understands that the prophecy is the reason she feels she cannot refuse. He sees that this is not about destiny at all, but about Maham's selfishness in using Kani for his own ambition. Sarman urges her not to be burdened by the prophecy and reassures himself that he will stand by her no matter what. Still, Kani cannot bring herself to reject the wedding. If Sarman ruins the ceremony, it would not only destroy her life, but also put her father in grave danger. Mayhem does not tolerate defiance, and anyone who opposes him is doomed. Suddenly, Manjo attacks Sarman from behind, and a fierce fight breaks out. Outside the palace, crowds of citizens gather at the gates. They feel shut out from a wedding that was supposed to represent a great change for everyone. The battle between Sarman and Manjo spills toward the entrance, and in the end, Sarman overcomes him. Seeing his son defeated, Maham is consumed by rage. Manjo accuses Sarman of approaching his future wife. When Maham learns that this is the same young man who stirred the people to resist the tax increase, he decides that punishment is inevitable. Instead of executing Sarman outright, Maham offers him a single chance to face a traditional trial known as Bakar Jokar. Confident in his power, Maham is certain that Sarman will never survive this test. Even though he has no idea what the trial will involve, Sarman makes one request. If he survives the challenge, Kani must be freed from her forced engagement to Manjo. As king, Maham agrees. The conflict is far from over, and now all eyes turn to the brutal test that awaits Sarman. That night, the royal priest approaches Sarman and reveals a shocking truth. Before Maham ever took the throne, Mohenjodaro was ruled by King Sarujan, who was none other than Sarman's own father. Durjan, Sarman's uncle, had hidden the truth about Sarajan's death, feeling too weak and afraid at the time to speak out. Back then, Sarajan was known as the greatest leader Mohenjodaro had ever had. Maham, who served as Minister of Trade, was secretly involved in illegal dealings and manipulated the other ministers. He proposed building a massive dam along the Sindhu River, stretching from Mohenjodaro to the surrounding villages. His real plan was to mine gold in the dried areas afterward, all under the excuse of bringing prosperity to the people. Sarajan strongly opposed the dam. To him, the Sindhu River was sacred. Durjan, who was Minister of Agriculture at the time, also feared the dam would dry out the farmland and ruin the villages. Sarajan realized that Maham still carried deep resentment toward Harappa, the city that had once expelled him. He rejected the plan and urged the ministers to choose what was truly right. The ministers split into two sides. 7 supported Sarajan, showing open hands, while 7 backed Maham, clenching their fists. The priest stood at the center. As a spiritual leader, he should have known which side was right. But under pressure and intimidation, he chose to support Maham. With that decision, the dam was approved. Maham then hired mountain bandits to build the dam, silencing anyone who dared to resist. Sarajan and Durjan tried to stop him, but Maham framed them by planting gold in Sarajan's home, making it appear as though he was corrupt. During the trial, Sarajan pleaded with the priest to speak the truth, reminding him of their shared past. But the priest froze, unable to testify. Durjan, paralyzed by fear, also remained silent. In the end, Sarajan was executed, and his wife died at the same time. With Sarajan gone, Maham seized full control. He rewrote trade laws and regulations to enrich himself. The dam brought no prosperity at all. Instead, it caused long years of drought and famine across the villages. What followed was not welfare, but suffering. Maham took advantage of the situation by raising taxes on migrants who moved to Mohenjodaro, a city falsely seen as prosperous. Overwhelmed by guilt, the priest finally realized the scale of his mistake. He begged for forgiveness and became convinced that only Sarman could put an end to all of this. At last, everything begins to make sense to Sarman. He realizes he was born in this city, and the answers he has been searching for have been here all along. He now understands why his dreams always led him back to this place, and why the unicorn kept appearing. Back in Amri village, a trader returns home, and Durjan asks why Sarman has not come back yet. A quiet fear sets in. They begin to worry that Sarman has already uncovered every hidden truth. The day of judgment finally arrives, and the Bakar Jokar trial begins. It turns out that Bakar and Jokar are 2 savage mountain giants, feared by everyone. Hojo knows that Sarman will rely on his trident spear, while Maham has armed his side with a powerful longsword. From any fair point of view, the challenge is clearly unbalanced. 2 giants against 1 man of much smaller stature. Yet against all expectations, Sarman manages to face them, not through raw strength, but through intelligence and strategy. He successfully disables one of the giants. And even with the other still standing, Sarman shows restraint and refuses to finish him off. In the end, Sarman emerges victorious, proving himself worthy of the trial. True to the agreement, Connie is freed from her forced marriage to Manjo. At that moment, the priest becomes convinced that Sarman is the leader destined to bring real change. Enraged by defeat, Manjo kills the priest. He then turns his fury toward Connie, believing that if he cannot have her, no one else should. Sarman arrives just in time. In the confrontation that follows, Manjo is killed by Sarman's hand. At her father's funeral, Connie finally speaks out. She reveals that her father had already told her the truth, that Sarman is the son of Sarajan, the former ruler of Mohenjodaro. It also becomes clear that Jahiro had known this secret from the very beginning. Soon after Durjan and Sarman's aunt arrive, they realize that the people have been blinded by Maham's lies for far too long, and now they all stand behind Sarman as their new leader. Before anything else, Sarman makes his first request. He asks that those who were silenced for defending the truth, including his father, be given proper burials. Overcome with regret, Durjan admits that he failed to reveal the truth in the past. He confesses that he was weak and lacked the courage of Sarman's father. Everything he did was out of concern for Sarman, who was still a child at the time. Sarman forgives him sincerely and says that it is time to let go of the past and focus on the future. After Manjo's death, his mother places the blame squarely on Maham. Because of his ambition, they have lost their son. She realizes that all the gold Maham hoarded and all the weapons he bought can never bring their child back. She also tells Maham the truth, that Sarman is the son of Sarujan. Maham took the life of Sarman's father, and now Sarman has taken the life of their son. She believes the cycle will not end, and Maham must prepare to face his own destruction. The next day, Sarman is shocked to see that the dam still stands and that Maham's greed continues as gold mining goes on. The river's flow has stopped completely. That night, Sarman and the people make a plan. When the gold transport caravan moves, they intercept it. They manage to capture Kolka and cut off the supply of weapons. Sarman reveals the truth to the people. The mined gold has been used to trade for weapons, all to fuel Maham's revenge against Harappa. With Maham's scheme fully exposed, the citizens pour into the palace. Now aware of all his crimes, they abandon him. Maham stands alone, with no one left to support him. Sarman declares that the land does not need a new ruler, because the people themselves are the true leaders. Maham is seized by the citizens, and the decision is made to destroy the dam. With determination and unity, Sarman and the people build a bridge of boats to evacuate the residents of Mohenjodaro. Jahiro, however, chooses to remain behind. He was born in this city, and he believes he should die there as well. Slowly, the dam weakens until a massive tsunami crashes through the city and wipes it away. Sarman narrowly escapes and survives, while Maham meets his end.
Sarman! Sarman!
The people are safely evacuated and prepare to settle in a new land. The new river that forms is named the Ganges, the river known to this day. Just as in his dreams, Sarman finally sees the unicorn waiting for him at the river's edge. And with that, the story comes to an end. So the moral of the story is ignore advice, open cursed packages, stare at the wrong girl, and somehow you end up fighting giants and running a country.